You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and man, we have an amazing show lined up for y'all. Man, we have a special guest who's a music artist. He's going to be sharing with us all his awesome tips of being an artist because he's on the show for a good reason. He has some big things he's doing. He's done some big things. He's come from us from Florida. He has an amazing story. He's the son of a U.S. Marine. Thank you for your family service. He is also going to share with us the type of music he does, his whole routine, the secret sauce. Everyone who's in the industry wants to know about the secret sauce on marketing tips. But most importantly, like always, we're going to learn about his story. So without further ado, I want to welcome Ken Holt to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you. Thank you for finding me a slot in a busy schedule. I appreciate it, man.
Man, if it wasn't for my guests like you, I wouldn't have a show, man. So I appreciate you taking time to be on here, man. So first and foremost, I know you're into country, rock and roll, bluegrass, classic pop, and of course I got my little cheat notes. But the point is, you got into music for a reason. Everyone does. So let's start here for our audience. Kind of share with us who inspired you to get involved in the music industry.
Well, I think it was something that I just kind of got into over time. I don't think there was not like one person who, like my father or one person, who said, you have to be a musician or you want, that's a good life. Or when I was 5 years old, I said, I just have to be on stage. It was just one of those things, I played in bands through high school, like a lot of people. And when I got into college, I played in bands. When I got out of college, I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to cut my hair and get a real job, or am I going to do that? Or am I going to play in another band? So I joined another band, and actually I was in Florida at the time. I went to Jacksonville University, and then a friend of mine was from Maine. I don't know if you've ever been to Maine or not. You ever been to Maine?
No, I haven't. Believe it or not.
Well, it's way up there, and my friend said, "You want to come to Maine and play music?" And I said, "Well, I can't get in my map, find out where Maine is." I wasn't really sure. I confess. So anyway, I went up to Maine and played music for 10 or 12 years in an original band. We played all original music, got a record deal, and did some touring and all of that. And I said, "Well, this is pretty cool." I was in my 20s, 20s, early 30s, and. So, I just have been playing for a long time, and just one thing kind of led to the other. After those particular band years, I went to work in the church, and even in the church, I was doing youth ministry, working with young people, and the first thing I always did, when I got the youth groups together, I said, okay, we're going to start a band. I always started a band in the youth group, So whatever I was doing, and even in the church, I was always strumming on a guitar, trying to integrate music into it in some way. And I'm still doing it, and now I'm, doing, last 10 years or so, I've been doing a solo thing, or I've had duos or trios, and just to keep it going. It's what I do, I guess. Evidently, apparently, that's what I do,
Well, if you ever want to be a comedian too, man, you could be a great one because you have a good sense of humor. And I think it's a great reminder that human beings can get serious in the business of life, because life, if you are too perfect or think you're too perfect, it's going to humble you real fast. And it's going
to say, man.
Hey, buddy, just wait till you turn that corner. I got a nice surprise for you.
I've been humbled plenty of times, I've been rejected by some of the best, So, it's a very humbling experience. Yeah.
But let's talk about the process of you being in the music industry from the beginning. What was that transition like from being an amateur to like, whoa, I can actually do this for a living?
for a living. Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of a key phrase, for a living when you think about being a musician. I mean, even when I was, signed to MCA and, doing those records and tours and that sort of thing. I mean, for a living, I was on a salary. And I'm too embarrassed to even tell you what that salary was, but it wasn't much. You get a salary and you get a per diem. Okay, here's X number of dollars for your eggs in the morning and your hamburger at night, And so we're on the road, driving around with a big truck, a big white baby grand piano on one side of the stage, a big white Hammond B3 organ on the other side of the stage, and, a road crew and all, the whole bit, but for a living, yeah. Kind of got off on that tangent, didn't I? But yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think I learned all those years, and someone asked me this the other day. What did you learn by playing with all those big bands or whatever, or just being in the music business? So I said I learned that if you do it only for the money, you're in for a rude awakening. You can't just do it for the money, otherwise. You're probably looking for something else to do. I don't know. I don't know about your business, but maybe I'm sure you're making a ton, but
I mean, if anyone has a winning lottery ticket, send me an email right now, because there's all
yeah. I will, man. If I win the Florida lottery, I'll definitely chip you in. Give you a piece of that, man.
Yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, I love this conversation going, because that's why, I never write down questions for my shows, because I love it when the guest keeps it real and it's not a robotic template that I have to go through. And I just want to say right now, thank you for that, because I needed this laugh. There's so many great stuff out there, yes, but there's sometimes a necessary just relax and just be yourself and be Ken Holt with us, and I just want to give you just a big virtual, dap, whatever you do, handshake, because that's what we need more of, man. We need more real, no more. I mean, I know I'm going a rabbit hole too, but it just popped in my head, so I'm just going to run with it because it's a fun.
Absolutely.
No more heavy duty, AI is the everything of my problems, solving my problems as a solution, because I'm a big fan of AI, by the way. But sometimes too much can be a little bit too much. I like it as a tool, but not when it becomes me.
Right.
How do you feel with technology in the music industry? When is one is too much, and how you find that balance? Because Yeah.
Well, I mean, you just said, AI. I mean, you want to keep it real. You want to be yourself, right? That's something that I've learned. And as I get older too, I mean, I can only be who I am. I can only be. I mean, this is who I am. I do what I do. I write the best songs I can write. I play as well as I can play, and that's who I am. And I can't be. I can't be someone else. I mean, that doesn't mean that I can't be inspired by other people. And want to, and get better at what I do, but still,
See, I want y'all to know about Ken. I can tell already he's a humble person, because you have not dropped any legends yet that you've been able to be on tour with and be able to be around. So if you can, for our audience, just maybe two, all right? Just kind of brag a little bit about the success you had in your career, because it's one thing to just talk about your music career, but it's another thing when you can give some good wisdom and secret sauce for people.
Yeah. So you want me to drop some names or something like that? Just know
that you really took your music career seriously, man. You put
Well, in terms of, name dropping, probably in terms of people that I played with, probably the biggest name I could drop in the rock and roll world would be the Who. I played in a band and we opened for the Who at when I played there, that we call it the Boston Garden. Somebody told me the other day, it's not called the Boston Garden anymore. It's called the TJ something other garden, I said, really? Oh my gosh, I'm dating myself. I thought it was still a Boston Garden. But we played there, in front of 30,000 people, But I wasn't even nervous at all, I'm more nervous playing in front of 10 or 15 people that are kind of looking me in the face and really checking it out, and really listening.
Or if you got 30 on your Instagram feed, right?
Yeah. If you ask me to pick up my guitar and sing a song now, I go, oh my gosh, But 30,000 people, you can't, you just kind of look out there in a sea of people and lights and whatnot, and it's kind of, and do your thing, But
all right, I gotta emphasize for Kevin, for the audience real fast. If you really want to know what he's really doing, go to his website. You see it on the ticker tape below. But yeah. I want to say I appreciate you being just real, man, because sometimes you can be in interviews and you feel the heat because the person, like, you better say every single award I won, But for you, you're just so humble and chill. But I want to go back to what you talked about, playing in front of 30,000.
Right.
Now, everybody can say they even play in front of 10 people. So what is the wisdom that you can share with other artists out there who want to have that opportunity to be in front of a mass of people? Because in their world, they feel like that's when I know I'm making it. That's when I know that my music's touching people. Kind of share their experience on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everybody. Well, most people, when you're, especially when you're younger. Of course, you want to be a rock and roll star or whatever your particular genre is. Whoever's the top of that genre heap, you want to be up there with them. Because they're. I keep getting this call from somebody trying to sell me some waterfront property in Arizona. I wish they'd stop calling me,
You're busy. I get it. I get it.
No, that's the same people that call me like 9 times a day. I said, I don't want to need any of that, whatever it is. But, so how do you get there? Well, it really takes a whole team, It takes a whole team of people, as you've got to have some sort of managerial situation. You've got to have a promotional person. You've got to have a publicist. You've got to have someone who's going to go around and get your records played on the radio. Who's someone who's going to get you on the playlist. You've got you got to have all those people. A social media person, and it really is a team effort. I'm in the last X number of years, I've been pretty much doing all of that myself, and it's really it's too much for one person, if you want to be on the top, and so
that's a great point, because people say all the time, how's you doing what you're doing with your show, Shemai? I'm like, you think it's really just me?
Yeah.
Thank you. But you're crazy if you think that people who are successful are doing it by themselves. Someone's lying. Because it takes a solid team that believes in what you're doing. And it takes you to carry that pressure and that weight, because at the end of the day, if it folds, who's going to be the first one they look at?
That's right. Yeah, all those people on your team are gonna be ducking down,
They're going to be going out of Dodge. They're like, yeah, I don't know.
Like, Ken who? Yeah. Shemaiah who? Who's that? Yeah.
But on a serious note,
but it just takes a whole. It takes a whole team, and it kind of depends. It depends on what your goals are, I mean, if you just want to get your music out there and have it heard by a few people, and try to, get your stuff on the streaming services, you can certainly do that. I mean, there's plenty of distributors out there that'll, you give them $9.99, they'll take your song and get it to 120 or 130 streaming services. You can get your music out there. Everybody in the world's probably not going to listen to it, but you can certainly get it out there. If you really want to be listened to, then you got to, it seems to me you've got to have somebody who's really working that area. So how much, what are your skills? How much time do you have?
Once again, listen to Refocus Radio and watching us online, talking to our special guest, Ken Holt. Go to his website, kenholtmusic.com. And I just appreciate this whole episode, man, because it's Friday. We're close to the weekend. And this is the type of episode that people look forward to, because people on YouTube, they know when you're on script. And they know when you're just having a good time. Right now, we just having a good time. Like, it's almost like Saturday Night Live or something. But when you look at how far you've been able to go on a serious note with your music and with your creativity, was this something? This is my favorite question. Is this something that you always dreamed about being able to do? Or is it something that you just kind of roll with it?
Well, I stuck with it and just kind of rolled with it for years and years. And, it really wasn't until maybe about a year ago that I decided that I was going to do another album. I mean, the last album I did was 2018. It wasn't that long ago, but I decided I wanted to do another album. I've got a home studio here, a recording studio in my home. So I was recording all these tracks. I had 12, 15 tracks. I said, if I don't put these songs out in some form, nobody's ever going to hear them, So I'm just going to take, 10 or 11 of them that I like the most on this particular day and package those up and put out an album. And I've done that, just in the last couple of months, and it's really been, I've really been pleased and amazed at the kind of response I've got to it. Like little things like I found out that I'm getting some airplay in South Africa. I said, South Africa, how to get and one of those ships that floats around, like Sweden and Netherlands, they have the radio stations on the boats, the kind of those outlaw kind of radio stations. There's one of those floating around out there somewhere, and they're playing my music. I said, really? That's pretty cool. And some station out in Wisconsin, has put me on the regular playlist. I mean, little things like that. I go, well, that's nice. It's just nice to know that somebody's listening, So this whole album project, for me personally has been well worth it, and here I am talking with you, I mean, if I hadn't put this album out, I mean, you and I probably wouldn't be having this conversation and having this fun, so it was all worth it.
Sorry, the guest for this month of February that made me smile the most on the show. I'm telling you, you have a hidden talent when it comes to comedy. Like, you have a good way of making things fun. And I think that's what's missing in life and a lot of places, because if you just pay attention, you want some comedy for the weekend, just go scan a shopping mall or just somewhere downtown and just look at the people that look like it's just nothing,
like
there's
they're not
happy. There's nothing. It's like, what happened?
Yeah. Everybody's looking at their phone,
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that real quick, but let's go a little bit leaning towards social media. As an artist, you take your stuff seriously, and you want people out there who are looking into your world to take you seriously when you're trying to present yourself and your artist image online. I know you have a team, but what's some of the things that you learn works and not so much?
Works on social media? Yeah. Well, I do have a Facebook page, and I, it's a Ken Holt, Facebook page, and everything that I do, and if I get a record review, and I've got a bunch of record reviews, in the last month or so, from magazines and those sorts of things, and I post all those, if I get a link to, to this conversation we're having there, you and I are having, I'll put it on my Ken Holt page, and so people can be privy to that. That's all I can really do. I can post it. But eventually I'm going to run out of friends and family, so you got to figure out how to get beyond that,
I love the answer, man, because the reason why I asked that is because it's like a trend now online. You got all these gurus saying, well, this is how you trick the algorithm. This is how you break in the user. And man, see your perspective, because, it's like, I appreciate that you made it so simple, because I feel like that's what we need to go back to, like from YouTube to music, whatever. Like, let's just go back to just being humans, because we get too complicated with our formulas and our strategies to the point that's what we brag about is formulas and strategies. Yeah.
No, I don't have any strategy or formula for beating the algorithms. That's not one of the goals in my life. I can see it. Here lies Ken Holt, who beat the algorithms. I like that. That's not going to be on my tombstone. That's for sure. So I just posted. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm done. Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you look ahead in 2025. Yeah, I know you have more projects that you're going to be working on. Are there things you can tease our viewers, our audience, as far as like a sneak peek of what you have planned for the future?
Well, I would say, right now, we got this ribbon rolling across the bottom of the stage that I appreciate, KenHoltMusic.com. I would say go there. Because this album, is new, it's just been released on the all those streaming services we were talking about earlier. It's just been released on those, and I'm actually doing this album in vinyl too. I decided I wanted to release it in vinyl. So that is actually being made by a company called Gotta Groove Records. They're up in Cleveland, so they're actually physically making those albums now, putting those together. So I should have those in my hands in about a month. So if somebody's really into vinyl, and I'm really into vinyl, I don't buy CDs anymore. I just buy vinyl. And so if you're a vinyl person, you can go on my website and you can pre-order my vinyl album. That's my commercial right now, but you can pre-order that. If I go to a show, and I go to the merch table, I'm looking to see if they have albums, if they have vinyl albums, I'm not, So anyway, so for the future, just check out my music and see what you think about it. It's in that Americana genre, which is kind of a blend, as you when you did your introduction there. It's got a little country in it. It's got a little, I play a little mandolin, just enough to be dangerous, and I can put those mandolin parts in there, and
sound good.
Nobody's going to ask me to be the mandolin player in their bluegrass band. That's for sure. I'm not one of those guys, but I can, but if you give me a line, da, 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 I can play that, and I can get those chord chops and I can play, so some of that stuff is on my album. And then there's some dual guitar stuff, and I've got a strong drummer on my album. All the drum parts are really strong. Yeah. So I got that bass and that drum rhythm. If you listen to it and really hone in on the drums, just you'll say it. The guy's a good drummer, and he is. Pat Boss, his name is, and so I'd say just check out the record and gigs. I don't know. We'll see if all this manifests itself as into gigs in the future. We'll see.
I'm sure.
I hope it does. Are we done?
You had 30,000 in the crowd before. Trust me, that'll be easy for you. Once again, listen to Army Focus Radio, watching us online, talking to our special guest, Ken Holt. Go to his website, kenholtmusic.com. I'm telling you, I have not smiled so much in February, but I appreciate it, man. I mean, I'm not that serious, but when people can make me laugh, man, it's a good time. But I appreciate your spirit, very genuine person. And for our audience, last question I always want to ask for creators, because our audience target to 25-year-olds to 34, pretty young.
Right.
What would you say to someone who feel like they might have plateaued with their vision, but they still want to press forward, they still want to go to the next level? You being able to have the success you had with your career, what words of wisdom would you give to a person who just feel like they just need a little bit more encouragement to get to that next level?
Well, I think we touched on this earlier, and I think you mentioned it. You mentioned it first. You just have to, but kind of begin to identify who you are and what your strengths are, and what's important to you. What kind of messages do I want to communicate? Where do I fit into this whole musical landscape? Do I want to kind of emulate this or emulate that, or maybe who am I? And so I can, try to find my slot in this whole, musical landscape. And I think it gets back to, what do you want to, communicate? What are your values? What messages do you want to do you want to put out there? Do you want them to be positive and hopeful, or you are? Or are you angry? You just want to be angry, and make people even angrier, or do you want to try to uplift people a little more? I guess you can tell from the way I'm presenting that I'm more on that side of it. I'm would be more into the uplifting, hopeful, kind of rising above this stuff, that's going on around us. And I would be more in that camp and less in the angry camp. So you just have to find out, what's important to you, and just keep at it, It may not be the center of everybody's attention today, but tomorrow it may be, and there you'll be ready. When it comes back around, there you are doing what you do, being authentic. Is that too much? Does that make sense?
That's perfect. That's a perfect way to wrap up the conversation. And I believe we went full circle. And for our audience, once again, I want to remind you, go to Ken's website. It's kenholtmusic.com. Make sure you check out all his projects, what he's doing. We might have to have him back on, because I'm telling you, this is good energy, good laughs. I hope y'all had a good time watching this. And like always, Ken, I want to say thank you for your time.
You are very welcome, man. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.